Effective low-inference note-taking can transform instructional support in a school. Capturing objective data can provide valuable insights into the instruction and student learning that's happening. But what is low-inference note-taking and how do you do it well? In this video, we're going to provide a definition of it. We're going to provide examples of what it looks like during a classroom visit, and we're going to provide 3 tips for implementation. Let's get started. We define low-inference note-taking by objectively, as opposed to subjectively, describing what's actually happening in the classroom. What this means is that we're attempting to the best of our ability to capture what the teacher and students are saying and doing. So how are high inference and low inference notes different? Take a look at these examples. In the first one, we notice that a teacher asks a good question about time. A better low inference note is actually copying down exactly what the question is. In the second example, we notice that some students raise their hands, but really, how many of them? Giving an approximation, in this case 15 to 20, is really helpful for a teacher to see how many out of their total class are raising their hands when they ask a question. Again, in the third example, a quick transition. What does that mean? It's better to provide low inference notes that describes how long that's actually taking. And one of the most common notes we see is students were either on task or off task. What does that mean? We need to be more specific and more low inference. So in this case, at least 80% of students were silently reading a handout and writing their answers to 3 questions in their notebook. It's very specific about what the students are doing. Although low inference notes is simple in concept, it's actually a quite challenging task to do on a consistent basis during classroom visits. That's why we wanted to include some examples from Mrs. Johnson's middle school math class to give you concrete examples of what low inference notes can look like. The first thing you'll notice is that we like to provide a quick orientation. What's the date? What's the period? When is it happening? And how many students are in the room? The second thing you'll notice is that we look for clues as to what's happening in the room. In this case, we see PEMDAS review written on the board alongside 4 problems, the first 2 being already solved, and we notice that the teachers at the board and the students are seated at their seats. The third thing you'll notice is that we provide a timestamp, and then we start capturing what's being said and done in the classroom. What you'll notice here is the teacher asks a question, a number of students raise their hands, we identify the amount of wait time that's happening, and what the teacher does, and in this case, calling on one of the students that has their hand raised. And the student provides an answer. This is repeated again, and again, and again, until the problem is solved. Now that we've defined what low inference note-taking is, seen what it can look like in a classroom setting, here are 3 tips for immediate implementation in your context. Number 1, use technology. The ability to have video or audio recording of a class is an immense help when trying to capture exactly what students and the teacher are doing and saying. To the best of your ability, use it. Number 2, capture the time. Providing timestamps around how long activities are taking can be immensely helpful for teachers. There is usually an enormous difference between how long things are actually taking and how long teachers think they're taking, and this is a helpful way to make that plain. Number 3, develop a coding system. All we mean by that is develop shorthand so that you can capture more information during a classroom visit. S for students, T for teacher, whatever it is, as long as it allows you to capture more data during your classroom visit, you're doing it right. If you're interested in learning more, be sure to check out our companion document with even more details and insights about this important classroom visit practice. Thanks so much, and take care.